Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Welcome back. Harvey politely extended his right hand with a smile. I couldn't attend your welcome banquet last time because I wasn't in San Giotto. Nicole glanced coldly at Harvey and said, "You don't have to explain yourself. Even if you were here, I wouldn't have sent you an invitation. You're still the same after all these years." Harvey withdrew his hand, somewhat disgruntled. "I've always treated people I dislike this way," Nicole replied as she glanced at Snow. Harvey knew that she was insulting him. Since he had broken up with Snow, it meant that he did not like her. But now, they were back together again, and she despised his actions. However, everything he did was for Nicole. He wanted to prove himself to her, so she would eventually see the actual powerful man that was worthy of her to entrust her life to. For 5 years, he thought she had vanished and would never see her again, so his feelings for her died along with that thought. That was until he heard that she had returned and was holding a grand welcome banquet to formally celebrate her return to the Riddle Corporation. He hurriedly finished his overseas project and rushed back as quickly as possible. But even though he was back, he did not have a reasonable excuse to see her. At the end of the day, he decided to prove himself to her so she would see him eventually. Nicole frowned as she could sense Harvey's intense gaze on her, feeling extremely repulsed by his stare. "Harvey, let's go to our seats," Snow said softly. "You go ahead." Harvey had no intention of leaving after seeing Nicole. He just wanted to look at her closely. After all, she had disappeared for 5 years, and he had even thought she was no longer alive. Now, seeing her in person, Harvey felt like he had come back to life. Snow's face turned pale instantly, and she could not help but resent Nicole even more. Why did it have to be Nicole? Harvey and I were doing fine, but everything changed once she appeared. Why? Taking note of their expressions, Nicole's eyes narrowed in displeasure. She really disliked feeling like she was prey. With a cold gaze, Nicole said, "Do as you please, but please don't block the way." After speaking, Nicole walked around Harvey and headed toward her and Jared's seats. Harvey suddenly raised his voice. "Grandpa misses you too." Nicole continued walking without stopping. Why would his grandfather miss me? Why would he even come and tell me that? What's wrong with him? Harvey squinted slightly when he saw Nicole unmoved. Even if she did not want to acknowledge me, why was she suddenly so cold to Grandpa? Something's not right. "Mr. Ellison, it's better not to disturb other people's lives," Lawrence reminded, not liking how Harvey looked at Nicole. "Same to you," Harvey replied calmly as if he knew Lawrence very well. Though he did not fully understand Lawrence's background, he was well aware of what Lawrence did after arriving in San Giotto. As soon as Harvey returned, he thoroughly investigated Nicole's situation before deciding to target NandoCorp. Lawrence glanced at Harvey with a heavy gaze, and Harvey met his eyes without flinching before turning away. "Harvey." Snow quickly followed after him, even though she was feeling very unhappy inside. She knew she had to stick closely to Harvey at this moment to make their relationship clear. Lawrence's face darkened slightly as he watched Harvey walk away. He was well aware of Harvey's intentions toward Nicole. But if he had feelings for Nicole, why was he with Snow now? "Mr. Lawrence." Ian came over and stood beside Lawrence. Lawrence said coldly, "I want all the information about Harvey and Nicole from the past." Back there, it sounded like they had a history together. Although it did not sound pleasant, it was evident that they had a history. Ian respectfully replied, "Yes, sir." Looking over again, Lawrence saw that Jared had already sat down with Nicole. Lawrence narrowed his eyes and walked quickly to his own seat. Nicole saw Jared returning and asked softly, "They finally let you go, huh?" "They're not as important as my wife," Jared whispered back. Nicole gave Jared a disdainful look and said, "Behave properly when we're in public." "I am behaving properly," Jared said confidently as he held Nicole's delicate hand. "Behaving properly? If others hear that, their jaws will probably drop," she thought. Gently squeezing Nicole's soft hand, Jared whispered, "What did Harvey say?" Nothing, just reminiscing about the past, Nicole replied nonchalantly. Jared raised an eyebrow slightly. Do you have a past to reminisce about? Lulu has already told me about our past. Nicole's face darkened a bit. It seemed they indeed needed to not only reminisce about the past but also had to tally new and old accounts. Framing the Johnston family and plotting against her, conspiring with Everett to sabotage Riddle Corporation's headquarters, and now setting his sights on Nando Corp. Did he think she was an easy target? Sensing Nicole's coldness, Jared said softly, "It's good that you know. We have time in the future, don't worry." He was worried that Harvey's interaction might have revealed something, but thankfully, Lulu had already informed Nicole beforehand, so there should not be a problem. Nicole frowned slightly. But one thing is strange. When I arrived, he said his grandfather misses me. How did you respond? Jared's expression became serious. He had overlooked this aspect. I ignored him. Nicole also sensed something was amiss and asked in a low voice, "Should I know his grandfather?" Not only that, but you also had quite a close relationship with him. Jared had no choice but to be honest. Nicole furrowed her eyebrows when she heard about her past acquaintance with Mr. Ellison. I see. Could Harvey have suspected something from my reaction just now? She subconsciously wanted to turn her head to take a look, but Jared stopped her and said, "Don't turn your head. If you look at him now, he'll be suspicious." So, you're saying that he's suspecting me? Nicole wondered, is that why he was testing me just now? Perhaps he just wants to get closer to you. But if you turn around now, he might start suspecting, Jared whispered to Nicole. Nicole immediately stopped her movement as she knew that Jared was right. Harvey might not have noticed anything substantial, but at most, he might be curious. However, if she were to pay attention to Harvey's actions now, with his suspicious nature, he would surely overthink it. Nicole then lowered her voice and said, "I'll visit Mr. Ellison another day. It's better to invite him out." Jared's expression became slightly somber, and his tone carried a hint of seriousness. Nicole furrowed her eyebrows. Why? She felt that something was off. The Ellison Group was a first-rate corporation in the city, and Mr. Ellison's status was not to be underestimated. So why did Jared sound so uneasy when he talked about Mr. Ellison? For now, Mr. Ellison has stepped down from all positions in Ellison Group, except for the position of principal at the university. Also, all previous partnerships with me have been terminated. Now, Harvey is in full control of the Ellison family affairs, Jared explained in a low voice. Has something happened? Nicole was sharp, and she immediately thought of a possibility. Probably due to past events, Jared said briefly, without giving detailed explanations. Back then, the Ellison Group always targeted the Johnston Corporation and the Riddle Corporation, up until Nicole's disappearance. Harvey had finally toned it down, but he still had his eyes set on the Ellison Group. After he took over the Ellison Group, Jared and Mr. Ellison's partnership gradually decreased before ultimately becoming obsolete. However, he did not think it was appropriate to discuss this matter in such a setting. Nicole nodded slightly, not pressing further. She had a basic understanding of it anyway. As they spoke, the charity event had already begun. Nicole and Jared raised their heads to look at the stage. The host took the stage, and his deep voice filled the venue with opening remarks. Nicole listened attentively, not noticing that a few pairs of eyes were watching her. Lawrence's eyes had a hint of gloom as he observed Jared and Nicole. His profound gaze made it hard to discern what he was thinking. "Mr. Lawrence, here's the information you wanted." Ian returned and handed a document to Lawrence. Lawrence opened it, his eyes growing even darker after reading the contents. I can't believe Harvey actually had such a past connection with Nicole. No wonder he dared to approach her just now. How audacious. "Mr. Lawrence, do you need me to do anything?" Ian asked in a low voice. "Not for now." He could not act at the moment. But as soon as Nicole needed his help, he would be there. "Yes, sir," Ian replied respectfully. On the other side, Harvey was also paying attention to Nicole. He always felt an odd sensation when facing Nicole. Although her attitude was no different from before, he could not pinpoint what was strange. After Nicole's return, have you noticed anything different about her compared to before? Harvey's voice was calm, and he did not even glance at Snow. But Snow knew he was asking her. No, she's the same as before, Snow answered softly. She was still as annoying and as difficult to deal with as before. Harvey finally looked at Rain, who remained meek and submissive, not showing any signs of suspicion. Soon, Harvey withdrew his gaze and looked at Nicole again. His strange feeling intensified, and his pupils involuntarily constricted. Harvey, the charity auction has begun, Snow softly reminded Harvey. Harvey heard it, but he seemed unaffected, still pondering over what exactly made Nicole seem different from before. However, he could not find anything, and this frustrated him. Seeing Harvey continuously focusing on Nicole, Snow could not help but feel annoyed and suffocated. It was driving her crazy. Harvey, that diamond necklace is called Heart of the Ocean. Legend has it that the person who obtains this necklace will be happy for life, Snow said through her teeth, but she was still looking at Harvey sheepishly. Heart of the Ocean, Harvey repeated, wondering if possessing it would bring happiness for life. Okay, Harvey finally responded. Snow looked at him with anticipation. If he could win the Heart of the Ocean for her, did it mean that he still had feelings for her? The bidding for the Heart of the Ocean begins now, starting at 500,000, announced the auctioneer, and the venue immediately became lively. $600,000. $700,000. $1 million. With intense competition, the bid for the Heart of the Ocean quickly reached $3 million. However, the voices of the bidders gradually quieted down because they noticed that the three who were still bidding were Jared, Lawrence, and Harvey. A strange atmosphere seemed to be in the air, and the attendees all fell silent, waiting to see who would eventually win. $4 million. Harvey raised the bid once more. $5 million. Lawrence was not willing to back down. All right, $5 million, any more bids? With the auctioneer's voice falling, the venue fell into silence. Everyone's gaze fell on Jared, wanting to know if he would give up or continue bidding. Jared, let it go, Nicole advised Jared in a low voice, feeling that such competition had no meaning. The charity auction was meant to raise funds for a good cause, so as long as all the items were sold, the funds raised would be put to good use. Nicole believed that was the real purpose. Besides, it was clear that the three were not willing to give in to each other. Instead of competing like this, it would be better to wait for other items. As long as they bid on one thing to express their feelings, the rest did not matter. Jared looked at Nicole and replied meaningfully, "This necklace is meant for you. Do you really believe that a necklace can bring a lifetime of happiness? That's too easy." She did not believe it. Happiness still needed to be earned through one's efforts. Jared gently held Nicole's delicate hand to comfort her, then raised his bidder card and said calmly, $10 million. What? The venue erupted into a commotion. $3 million was already far beyond the value of the necklace itself, but in charity auctions, nobody cared about the actual value of the items. However, witnessing the fierce bidding from, especially Jared's one-time offer of $10 million, was unprecedented. $10 million. Going once. Going twice. The auctioneer waited, and if no one continued to bid, he would finalize the sale. He actually did not expect anyone to bid further, as this was already an astronomical price. Jared leaned back in his chair leisurely, gently holding Nicole's hand. He seemed certain of the outcome, just waiting for the announcement. Lawrence's pupils constricted slightly. He understood that Jared had seen through his intentions, so tonight, no matter how much he offered, Jared would not let him succeed. Glancing at the necklace on the auction stage, Lawrence tightened his bidder card and finally chose to give up. Originally, it was just a probe. Since Jared understood his intentions, there would be another chance. Harvey's face also darkened as he stared thoughtfully at the necklace on the auction stage. A necklace that represented happiness. Would it hold a special meaning if he gave it to Nicole? However, it was evident that continuing the bidding would lead to no result. Harvey. Snow looked at Harvey with a complex expression. She really hoped that he would win the necklace for her, but 10 million. It seemed that Jared was unwilling to let go either. Harvey finally glanced at Snow and put down his bidder card. He did consider bidding for the heart of the ocean to give to Nicole, as he wanted himself to be the only person to bring Nicole happiness. But Snow's reminder made him realize that it was not the best time. The issues at Nando Corp were not fully resolved, and he needed to remain calm. Seeing Harvey giving up on bidding, Snow felt disappointed, but she still consoled him maturely. "It's just a necklace, and I don't want it that much." Harvey looked at Snow non-committally. Whether she wanted it or not was none of his business. One-time bid of 10 million. The auctioneer finally declared. "Congratulations." Mr. Hahn and others congratulated Jared as well. At the same time, they felt relieved. They were worried that this bidding war would never end. After all, it was Mr. Johnston, and they knew he would not go home empty-handed. Subsequently, the stewardess brought the heart of the ocean to the small table in front of Jared and Nicole. "Let me put it on for you," Jared said gently as he held the necklace. Nicole accepted the necklace and kept it back in the box. Forget it. She had already felt the envious eyes of all the ladies in the room. If she wore the necklace, she might even get hated. She was not used to being scrutinized like that and was feeling extremely uneasy. She preferred being low-key. After putting the necklace back into the box, Nicole looked at Jared and said seriously, "Thank you." She understood his intentions. Although a necklace could not truly determine someone's happiness, it had good symbolism and represented good wishes and blessings. A devilish glint flashed in Jared's eyes as he whispered in Nicole's ear, "You can thank me in another way." Oddly enough, Nicole understood his meaning, and her cheeks flushed. She scolded him playfully. "Stop it. We're at a charity event." "Okay, then let's go home." Jared smiled knowingly. Nicole's cheeks grew even warmer. She looked away and glanced at the auction stage. This guy really is something. The auction continued, and since Nicole and Jared did not participate, it progressed smoothly, and the charity auction items were successfully sold one after another. Next, we have a high-quality jade piece buckle, with a diameter of 20 centimeters. The jade is translucent and flawless. As the auctioneer introduced the item, the red cloth covering the jade piece buckle was lifted, revealing a pure white jade piece. "Buckle. Wow, it's really high quality," someone exclaimed. $300,000. $350,000. Someone else quickly increased the bid. $50,000. Nicole raised her bidder card. Jared glanced at her. "Do you want it?" "Since I'm here, I should participate. I'm now representing the Riddle Corporation." Nicole smiled, thinking that if she won, she could take it home and give it to her grandfather. $555,000, another female voice rang out, and everyone instinctively looked at Snow. Nicole was no exception as she calmly glanced at Snow. Snow had her chin tilted toward Nicole, a hint of provocation in her eyes. With a sarcastic smile, Nicole withdrew her gaze. Since Snow wanted the limelight, she could have it. $560,000, Nicole said, raising her bidder card again. $600,000, Snow bid anxiously, afraid that Nicole would snatch the jade piece buckle from her. $610,000. Nicole calmly raised her card once more. Seeing both of them interested in the piece buckle, others voluntarily refrained from bidding, leaving the opportunity to Nicole and Snow. However, curiosity arose. Who would ultimately get the piece buckle? As Snow's bids increased, Nicole followed with a mere $10,000 difference, not willing to give up. Snow's face turned somewhat purple. Nicole is clearly doing it on purpose, she thought. She simply could not let Nicole have her way. She must get this jade piece buckle. After losing the necklace just now, she could not afford to lose again, or she would lose all her dignity. However, as her father's budget had already reached the upper limit, Snow began to feel anxious. If Nicole continued to raise the bid, she would be in trouble. Biting her lip lightly, Snow looked at Harvey and asked softly, "Harvey, this piece buckle has a good meaning, and I really like it. Do you like it?" She had to seek Harvey's help as she desperately wanted to win Nicole. Besides, she had already lost the necklace just now, and if Harvey could win the jade piece buckle for her, it would not be in vain for her to accompany him to the charity event. If she got the peace buckle from Harvey in front of all these celebrities in San Joto, it would be a recognition of her identity, and she could then confidently wait to become Mrs. Ellison. Harvey glanced at Snow and calmly said, "If you find it useful, bid for it. If not, let it go." Snow's smile froze, unable to believe what she was hearing. So, she was rejected once again. Harvey had given up the necklace earlier, and now he was refusing to help her with the peace buckle. What exactly was his deal? With a tinge of unwillingness, Snow bit her lip. Her face turned pale and then flushed as she grew more resentful. Her gaze shifted to Nicole, glaring at her with bitterness. Why did bad luck always follow her whenever Nicole was around? Even Harvey, whom she had worked so hard to regain favor with, had become cold toward her. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Snow lost her rationality and raised her bidder card, saying, $1.5 million. $1.501 million, Nicole's voice sounded again. Snow's face turned red with anger. She no longer cared about anything else and raised her card again, shouting, $2 million. $2.1 million. Nicole looked composed and relaxed as if the peace buckle was already in her possession. Seeing that Nicole did not raise the bid by just 1,000 but increased by a whole 100,000, Snow panicked and immediately shouted, $3 million. This time, she had reached her peak. She did not believe that Nicole would still be willing to raise the bid. Everyone looked at Nicole, waiting to see her next move. However, Nicole shrugged and put her bidder card on the small table, indicating that she was done for now. There was no lively scene to watch anymore, and everyone withdrew their gaze. Snow stared at Nicole in disbelief. Although she was determined to win, she felt no satisfaction in winning when she saw Nicole's expression. "Ms., this is the peace buckle you bid for. Please settle the account backstage after the event. Thank you for your contribution to the charity." The hostess politely reminded Snow before leaving. Staring at the jade peace buckle, Snow felt like she had just woken up from a dream. How could she lose her sanity like that? She bid $3 million, but her father had only given her a budget of $2 million. How was she going to deal with the extra $1 million? Finally regaining her composure, Snow's face turned pale, showing a look of despair. Next, we will present another charity auction item. The charity event continued, but Snow could not focus on anything anymore. Her eyes were fixed on the peace buckle, and she was lost in her thoughts. Finally, the event ended, and the guests began to leave one after another, settling the accounts for the items they had bid on. Nicole and Jared settled the account for the necklace and returned to their seats. They found Snow still sitting there in a daze, and a smirk appeared on Nicole's lips. "Did you expect that she didn't have enough money to settle the account?" Lawrence's voice sounded in Nicole's ear. She turned to look at him with a smile. "You're still here." "While I didn't win anything, I did make a donation," Lawrence replied, indicating that he had just come backstage. "Oh, you're leaving now," Nicole said, not asking further. "Yeah," Lawrence said as he prepared to leave as well. Though Nicole did not answer his question, based on his understanding of Nicole, he knew that there must be a reason behind her giving up on the auction. Snow had probably fallen into Nicole's trap, and Nicole's decision to give up must be related to that. Now, looking at Snow's lost expression, Lawrence thought he had probably guessed correctly. "Let's go home," Jared said, not liking Nicole's casual way of speaking with Lawrence. He took Nicole's hand and the pair left together. Lawrence's face darkened as he watched them leave. With everyone gone, including Harvey, Snow was still sitting in her seat, unable to go backstage to settle the account. "Ms., the backstage is waiting for you to settle the account. Besides, the venue has been cleaned up, and they're about to close for the night," the hostess reminded Snow. Snow's face turned even paler, but she gritted her teeth and said, "I know." The hostess saw that Snow responded but was still not moving, so she could not help but ask, "Ms., do you not like the peace buckle? If you really do not like it, you can abandon the bid." Snow took a deep breath and stood up, saying, "I'll go settle the account now." She could not possibly abandon the bid. That would make her the laughingstock of all of San Johto. If she bid for an item at a charity auction and then abandoned it, it would be like telling everyone that she regretted it because she could not afford it. Even if she would get scolded by her father, she had to take the peace buckle home. Helpless, Snow made a call while walking, asking Dylan to transfer the money to her. After getting scolded, Snow ultimately got the money and left with the peace buckle. Outside, she looked at the dim night sky, clenching her teeth in anger. After coming to her senses, Snow realized she had been fooled by Nicole. She had lost $3 million, and just thinking about it made her blood boil. If she had not been impulsive at that moment, she would not have suffered such a big loss. Now, even Harvey had abandoned her, leaving her feeling like she had lost everything. The next day at the Riddle Corporation, one could hear Lulu's hearty laugh drifting from Nicole's office. Nicole could not help asking, "Are you actually happy about this?" "Of course. How dare Snow challenge you with that brain of hers?" Lulu responded with a scowl on her face. Just the thought of it made Lulu excited. On top of that, when Lulu found out that Nicole put Snow in a bad spot, she felt like she finally got her revenge. Looking at how Lulu acted, Nicole could not help but shake her head and smile. "I heard Snow was seeking help from the family, so she was forced to own up to everything. When I think back on how arrogantly she acted in school, who would have thought that one day she would be this desperate? Karma really got her this time." Lulu was in such a good mood that she could not stop mocking Snow. When Lulu was done with her mocking, she turned to look at Nicole and gloated, "Oh, I heard that Rain had made a move. Because of this incident, she's persuading Dylan not to give Snow any power." Nicole raised her eyebrows and thought, Rain is quick to react. She really is on guard at all times. "We're gathering at the family manor tonight. I'll keep an eye out for them." Nicole's tone lowered a little. If what Lulu heard about was true, Harvey would have to speed up his plan. "That's good. Just make sure you don't let them out of your sight," Lulu reminded Nicole, nodding. Nicole made a mental note of it. Then, she looked up at Lulu and said, "I see you're in a great mood today. What's going on? You've decided on that matter?" Lulu blushed and nodded shyly to indicate she had made her final decision. Something flashed across Nicole's eyes as she glanced at Lulu. By judging her looks, Lulu seems very happy with her decision. "Are they getting married soon?" Raising her eyebrow, Nicole carefully questioned, "You weren't there at yesterday's charity ball. Were you on a date with Spencer? Or?" After pausing for a moment, Nicole smiled and made a wild guess. Did Spencer pop the question? "That did not happen. It's just that, I've finally thought through the whole thing," Lulu said shyly. "I've decided not to run away anymore and be brave." Lulu had decided to spend the rest of her life with Spencer. She realized that those things which she insisted on previously were laughable. Therefore, she wanted to make it up to Spencer. Nicole nodded. "I'm glad you've thought about it thoroughly. I was worried you'd beat around the bush again." "Oh, so you've always thought of me as someone like that?" Lulu purposely teased. "The more you care, the more you think. It's only because you care for him that you'd act this way." Lulu scratched her head in embarrassment. "I never thought about it that way before." Recent events made Lulu realize that she should seize the opportunity and hold onto the happiness she had. Otherwise, she would regret it for the rest of her life. "Well, I'm just glad that you're over it. This is an early congratulations to you." Nicole smiled. Spencer can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel now. As both of them were chatting, Lulu's phone rang all of a sudden. Seeing that it was from Spencer, Lulu smiled and picked up the phone. "Hello, Spencer." Through the phone, Spencer's joy-filled tone rang through. "I couldn't reply to your message just now because I was busy. What's up?" Lulu had finally contacted him first. He had a hard time over the past few days. All he cared about was to see her as soon as possible. "Are you free tonight? I want to talk to you about something." Lulu blushed at her own words. "I'm free," Spencer instantly agreed. "I'll pick you up after work." Alright, see you later. Lulu hung up and smiled as if an idea had popped up in her mind. Nicole raised her an eyebrow. Why does it sound like there was something more behind Lulu's reply? Lulu, are you hiding something? Nicole asked out of curiosity. There's nothing. Lulu quickly looked away as she did not dare to look Nicole in the eye. Nicole tilted her head a little and observed Lulu. It was obvious that something was going on with Lulu. I'll head back to work now. Feeling a sense of pressure on her, Lulu immediately escaped. Nicole shook her head slightly and smirked. She could tell that something was off at one glance. However, Lulu was reluctant to tell her. Nicole wanted to see how long Lulu would keep it a secret from her. After Lulu left, Nicole looked at her desk, flipped through the documents on it, and began to work. In the blink of an eye, lunch break came and went. Nicole was resting in her office when a sudden knock came from her door. She replied doubtfully, "Come in." Who would come over at this hour? It can't be Lulu. She just went out. Point one. When the door opened, Ella walked in. Nicole responded out of shock. "What are you doing here?" "Nicole, I'm here to see you." Ella placed a small box of the coffee table. "This is a new product from the dessert shop at the corner of the street. Have some." "Thank you," said Nicole, but she never opened the box. After all, she had just finished lunch and her stomach was still really full. "Nicole, you don't have to be so formal with me." Ella sat down and smiled at Nicole. Nicole smiled back and replied, "All right, just leave it for now. I'll have it for tea later." Ella's smile widened, satisfied. "I'm actually here to seek your opinion on a case." "What case?" Nicole turned serious. She knew Ella had been hardworking after he joined Baycorp. Moreover, Baycorp's sales were boosted after he joined them. Baycorp was no longer the company struggling to make ends meet and relying on the head office to maintain its operations. Nicole was very satisfied with Ella's efforts and skills. After all, Uncle Dexter and his family treated Nicole's family well. She hoped that his family would do well too. Ella handed a document to Nicole. "This is the one. I was quite uncertain about it for a while. I always had a hunch that something was missing from this proposal, but I can't put my finger on it." Nicole took over and opened it. After she looked through the proposal, she fell into deep thought. Ella did not bother her either. He just sat there and waited quietly. He trusted that Nicole would give him good advice when she was ready. After a while, Nicole held the document out to Ella. She pointed at a few parts of the document and explained, "Here. I think there needs to be more resources needed in the publicity. The methods should be novel. As for the direction of this proposal." After hearing what Nicole pointed out, Ella beamed. "What you said was amazing. I knew you'd figure it out." They had run through this proposal many times and made a lot of changes, but Ella was never satisfied. He could not think of anything else to make it better, so he sought Nicole's help. On the other hand, he was also worried that he'd interrupt Nicole at work. So, he purposely chose to find her during lunch break. Nicole returned the proposal to Ella and said, "It's nothing much. You don't have much experience in this, but you'll get better at it over time. Especially with your skills, I'm sure it won't take long." Ella was extremely happy to be praised by Nicole. "I'll work hard." Nicole smiled and replied, "We've all seen the effort you put in." At that moment, Ella recalled the call he received from Dexter. "Oh right, Nicole. Do you know why Uncle Damien is gathering everyone at the family manor?" "He is." Nicole was taken aback by the news. "Yeah, he wants everyone to be there tonight. Uncle Damien, Uncle Dylan, your family and my family. All four of our families have to be there." Ella realized that Nicole had no clue about the meeting. Then, he mumbled, "I wonder what he's gathering us for." "You'll find out when you're there," Nicole responded, raising an eyebrow. Since Damien had gathered everyone, everything would be revealed soon. "I don't know what Uncle Damien has up his sleeve, but I can tell that it's nothing great," Ella could not help but say. It had been a while since everyone gathered at the family manor. Ever since Nicole inherited the head office, everyone seemed to be avoiding each other. So, it was rare for everyone to meet each other at the same time. And now, Damien suddenly asked everyone to gather in that house. Something seemed off. Don't worry. With Grandpa around, Uncle Damien wouldn't dare to do anything. Nicole shrugged, seemingly unbothered. Although Mr. Riddle Sr. and the rest were not sure what Damien was up to, Mr. Riddle Sr. had alerted Nicole about his frequent visits. This showed that Mr. Riddle Sr. was still cautious about Damien. With that, Nicole would have nothing to worry about. Seeing how calm Nicole was, Ella nodded. You're right. All right. You should get back to work if there's nothing else you need. Your employees must be waiting for you to start the meeting, Nicole reminded Ella. How did you know? Ella said in surprise. Nicole glanced at the proposal in Ella's hands and thought, they've been working on this proposal for days and couldn't finalize it. Ella had no choice but to find me immediately. That means he's in a hurry to complete the proposal. Looking at Nicole's gaze, Ella found the answer to his question. Feeling somewhat awkward, he scratched his head and smiled innocently. I'll head back now. All right, see you tonight. Nicole gave a soft smile. All right, Ella replied and walked out. After he left the room, Nicole leaned on the sofa and narrowed her eyes. What's Uncle Damien scheming that he's gathering everyone at the family manor? Grandpa did mention that Uncle Damien visits him frequently, but he was always alone. Why is he asking everyone to be there this time? Nicole knew that something was off, but she had not found anything suspicious about Damien recently. She could not tell what Damien was planning to do next. In the blink of an eye, it was time to get off work. Nicole had just left the office when she bumped into Sean and Steve. Sean, Steve, let's go down together, Nicole said in lieu of greeting them. Then, the three of them entered the elevator together.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.